cheat gainer tutorial? No, that was yesterday. Today, we're doing the CORK tutorial! That's right, you guys have requested it. I was gonna do some other stuff, but there's been so many comments asking for this move that I am going to have to break it down and bring it to you. I am Jesse LaFlair from LaFlairParkour and Team Tempest here at the world famous Tempest Freerunning Academy, bringing you a tutorial on how to do a CORK. Let's get started! First things first. Now, I put up this tutorial yesterday, so if you haven't checked it out and worked on it, I would suggest going to work on it right now. Literally right now. I don't care how cold it is, how dark it is. Cheat gainer. You need to be able to do a cheat gainer or a good kick the moon, which is essentially the same thing, a little variation in where your body positioning is, to be able to do a CORK. So work that before you work this, and let's get started. So a cheat gainer is very essential. It's the same setup you're gonna use to do your CORK. And that setup is either J-stepping in or stepping in and turning to set this big old cheat gainer. Okay, that's all a CORK is a cheat gainer with a 360. Some people call this a 360 CORK, but essentially, this is a CORK, okay? Start here, you wanna walk into it, step, bring a little bit of power, boom! Step one, same thing as the cheat gainer. Step one is leaving. So as I step and turn, I'm gonna do it this way just so you guys can see it a little bit better. As I step and turn, my hands and my back foot become in sync and as powerful as they can be. So as I start to do this move, I move forward and kick and throw my arms up into the air over my shoulder. Now I don't even necessarily need to go directly over my shoulder. I need it to drive me up. Get height, then get tight. Number one rule with any flips we do. That's where it's the scariest. Most people rush their spins, end up doing weird spinning 360s on the ground. So that's why it's so important to be able to do that cheat gainer, because it teaches you to wait and go over the top. All right, so as we do it, we drive our hands and foot up. Now, super cool technique to use is this idea that as I drive this foot up, it comes up and I start to go over a line, an imaginary line that's at least shoulder high. As that foot starts to come over, that's when my arms change position. I start to get here and I bring them in. I bring my arms from here in to my chest and stay nice and long. Now, a progression to understanding spinning. I've talked about this a lot in a lot of my past tutorials, but I don't know if you guys have seen those, so we're gonna talk about it again right now. When we spin, if our arms and legs are open and we keep them open, it's a lot harder to get a fast rotation, okay? But if we do that same thing and get tight like a pencil, super tight, what happens is we get a lot more spin, okay? So, same thing, when we go for this CORK, forgot what we were doing for a second. When we go for this CORK, we swing it up and in, driving for our height. The second we get up over that line, that's when I'm gonna bring my jumping leg, the one that's leaving the ground, the one that is leaving the ground with a good jump, all the way through my toe, up and bring it in tight. So I touched on a couple points there, got a little sidetracked, but keep that in mind, that as we drive up, we're using this leg nice and powerful all the way through the toe. This leg gets up as these arms are driving up, and then we pull it in for a nice, tight CORK. The longer we can stay, the tighter we can spin, the faster we can open up and spot our landing and land nice and gently on the way down, okay? So let's look at one. So now, I come from a rollerblading background. A lot of you guys know that. So I have a really hard time spinning with my legs super straight. It's also the same reason why I struggle with double CORKs, because I tend to bring my knees in like a rollerblader, and it slows down my rotation. So I know I don't have the best CORK, but you guys wanted me to teach it, and I'm gonna teach it the best I know how. That's my disclaimer. Let's check out another one. let's add that scoot variation we learned in our prior 12 days of tutorials. So, talking about getting into the cork, and this works for the cheat gainer as well, obviously. When we move into the movement, we do not want to travel. This is something that I really struggled with when I was first starting off trying to do corks. I would literally run across the floor. I would come way back here, and I would run, and I would step, and it just did not work. Another thing that people tend to do is they try to put a mat down. They try to get a mat, and when they do this trick, they try to do it onto a mat. So what ends up happening is they go here, and they throw themselves back to the mat. What's kind of difficult about this move is that once we try to do it safely onto a mat or anything like that, it tends to get a little bit more difficult because we're changing the elements of driving ourselves up and staying in one place. One easy way, if you're in a gym, you can have a friend try to push a mat for you, but please be careful with your ankles on this. Make sure they're not pushing super late and letting go of the mat and letting it take your ankles out at the end. But there's also other ways to do this, like back off of things and into foam pits. And what's odd is that I learned this move on the ground first. Finally, I learned how to cork, and then I learned to cork off of things. And corking off of things is actually quite easier. But to each is their own. And if you want to try this on the ground, it's safer in the sense of that you're not coming off of a giant bit of height, and landing technically may be really hard. So keep it low, slow and low in the beginning, and then you guys can take it up and have some fun, and obviously try some double corks and things like that. But moving on. So just a quick overview of everything we've got on. If you haven't watched the cheat gainer tutorial, go watch that. That covers a lot of the things that we need to learn to do this. Outside of that, the same thing. As we drive, our arms and legs drive up and over our shoulder. Now, keep in mind, we're driving up as hard as we can. We're kicking as if we are kicking over our shoulder. And we're kicking with enough energy so that when we get that height and all of that energy that was going to take us over switches into a spin or a rotation, because our bottom leg that's leaving the ground off our toes nice and strong meets it, it spins, rotates nice and tight like a pencil, and we come down, landing nice and safe, spotting our ground. Don't spot the ground too early. We go up over the shoulder, bang, hook, because we need to get our angle this way. Now, people do corks in all different ways. Some people really can cork very straight over the top. To get doubles, if you watch people do doubles or even triples, they tend to go around themselves in this really nice, low, flat angle so that their body ends up at least getting horizontal. And in my opinion, that's where your cork needs to be considered a cork, is at least hit that horizontal angle or even a little bit more. All right? That is your cork tutorial. I wish there were more progressions to this move, but keep all of those things in mind. Practice, practice, practice. Also keep in mind that you could scoot into this to try to give yourself a little bit more power on driving yourself up. Weight, timing's everything. Timing is everything. And in the cork, it is so important to work on your timing. I watched videos of kids trying to progress these and learn these. And most of the time, the biggest failures are that people are kicking around themselves, not kicking high enough because they're trying to get to that flat spin. Don't think about spinning flat. Kick up and then drive those legs together, okay? Timing, wait for it, get that height first, then get tight. Get your height, then get tight. That's it, man. Check back for tomorrow's tutorial. It will be on a move that I created and have been using quite often. And I have some really dope combos into this trick. I've seen people doing it all over the world. Some of the pros are starting to throw this trick. So I'm excited for you guys to check back in tomorrow for what I call the pop top. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Jesse LaFlair from LaFlair Parkour and Team Tempest. Happy holidays. the 12 days of tutorials. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm killing myself trying to make these for you. And that's it. See you tomorrow. Peace!